Okay, now the second week of our online courses to begin with. And last week I finished the chapter on morphology, and I told you about so many new things, and I shared a PowerPoint presentation with you. Now, today I'm going to talk about semantics chapter and the characteristics of semantics. Last week I made a brief introduction to semantics, and I told you about the characteristics of meaning and how meanings are constructed by the semantic concepts, by the concepts of understanding. And I told you that there are 3 points, 3 corners of. Let me revise my sentence. The meaning is like the 3 corners of a triangle. We need 3 different concepts to come together to construct this triangle of meaning. In the first corner, we have the word. And in the second corner, we have the concept or the object. And in the third corner, we have the idea or the experience with the concept or the item. When these 3 come together, we have the meaning. First of all, let me give you an example. For instance, this is the object, pen, a fountain pen, and we have a word on the other corner. But you have the word and you have the concept which the word refers to. But then, if you do not have an experience or an idea about this concept or about this object, if you have never used it, then you don't have the meaning. My example for this is usually every year I give my students this example. For instance, I tell them, assuming that they have never been to England and they have never tasted it, I write on the board the name of a food, Yorkshire pudding, and I ask them to make a guess about what kind of food it is. And usually they tell me that because it is called pudding, they tell me that it must be something sweet. And I show them a picture of it. It's a meat dish. All right? It's a meat dish. So they are surprised because they haven't experienced it before. And it's not pudding, it's not sweet, but it's a meat dish. But it's called Yorkshire pudding. And next, I ask them how it tastes, and they don't know it naturally. Therefore, the concept changes here. If you do not have the experience, you do not have the meaning in mind. So, the meaning is constructed by the 3 corners of a triangle. In our chapter on semantics, let me go to the beginning of the chapter. The meanings of language. Semantics is the study of the meanings in a language. Okay, now, for thousands of years, philosophers have been pondering the meaning of meaning. Okay, it's not only the meaning of the words, the meaning of the sentences, but it's also the meaning of meaning. What do we mean by meaning? But everyone who knows a language can understand what is said to him or to her, and they can produce strings of words that convey a meaning. However, the way we bring the words together changes the meaning. For example, in which part of the sentence do you place a word, and in which part of the sentence do you place a noun, an adjective, or so on? Because the meaning, the weight of a meaning, the heaviness of a meaning, all right, the meaning of a word changes according to its place in the sentence. For instance, if I say, Father, they call me, or they call me father. So, in which sentence father is more effective, more influential? Usually in the first one. Father, they call me, or they call me a father. Therefore, when we change the place of a word in a sentence, the meaning of that word might change, or the connotations of that word might change. Learning a language includes learning the agreed upon meanings. Let me clarify this. What does it mean? What does agreed upon meaning mean? There are usually lexical meanings which are described in the dictionaries, but the words described in the dictionary, the meaning described in the dictionaries have to be agreed upon by the society, by the majority of the people in the society. If I call this, let's say, if I call this an envelope, okay, if I call this an envelope, then it shouldn't be only my decision, but the other people should understand when I say envelope, everyone should think of this object. If they do not, then I'm using the wrong concept usually. So that means we have to agree on several meanings, and in each society the meanings may change. My example here is, for example, the word bread. In Turkish language, the word bread has several meanings, and it has a heavier meaning. It might have a heavier meaning than in English, for instance, because we have so many words, so many idioms, and so many proverbs based upon the concept of bread. Therefore, for instance, don't play with my bread. This is my bread door. Or I am the breadwinner of the house. Or you are eating my bread. So I'm giving you your bread. And things like that. So that means the general understanding of the word bread in let's say in Turkish language is heavier and larger than, for example, than it might have in other cultures. Therefore, meanings have to be agreed upon. We have a concept called semantic properties. How do you understand the semantic properties? What are the semantic properties? First of all, the words in a language have characteristics. Properties means, simply characteristics of a word. How do we understand the characteristics of a word? Let's say that I am giving you a word man. Okay, man. First of all, is it female or male? Male, right? Man, male. Young or adult? We usually think that a man is adult, not young. So, the semantic properties of this word is male, adult, doesn't have to be old, all right? Doesn't have to be old, but it is adult, because when you say a man, you don't think of a young person, a young boy, for example. So it gives us something. If you understand a word pronounced or uttered by a speaker, then you immediately understand what it means, because you know the semantic properties of that language. When I say a house, what kind of a place do you think of? A tent, a caravan, a big house, a flat, your dormitory, or apart flat? But there's only one thing that comes to your mind: a place you live. Okay, a place you live. When I say a baby, All right. What semantic properties do you think of? Male, female, both. Young, yes, young, not old, not adult, but young. So these semantic properties, for example, a girl, when I say a girl, female, yes, female, adult, no, not usually, young. So a girl is young. Okay. Semantic properties help us understand the meanings of the words. They help us to acquire the meanings of the words, and they help us to use the words in proper, correct places in speaking. And these correct places are usually constructed by the properties, characteristics of those words. So the characteristics of those words help us to place them in the correct places in a sentence and in the correct places in a text if we are writing. Okay. The second concept that we are going to talk about is ambiguity. Let me start a PowerPoint presentation here too. I will share with you this PowerPoint presentation. Okay, ambiguity. Ambiguity means the blurred meanings, unclear meanings. Sometimes a word might mean two different things in the same place. Sometimes a word might have another meaning in the same place, or sometimes you may misunderstand what is meant by the speaker. So these misunderstandings occur because of the homonyms. Okay, homonyms caused by the homonyms. Homonyms are the words which are spelled in the same way, spelled and pronounced in the same way, but they mean different things. So what are the examples of homonyms? Will, my father has a will, or I will do it. Okay. Till, I'm working at the till. If you're a cashier, the cashier is called a till. All right. Or till this moment, these are homonyms. And there are two types of ambiguities caused by homonyms usually. Lexical ambiguity. Okay? Lexical ambiguity is caused by only one only one word in the sentence. Okay, only one word in the sentence. The example is she cannot bear children. She cannot bear children. Bear has two meanings. Okay, bear has two meanings. The first meaning of bear, is, to stand. I cannot stand children. Look, this is also an ambiguity. I cannot stand children because they are too noisy. All right? Or she cannot bear children because she is sterile. She cannot bear children when they are too noisy, or she cannot bear children because she is sterile. Okay, sterile means a woman who is unable to give birth. She cannot bear children because she is sterile, or she cannot bear children when they are too noisy. So, bear, by the word bear, we have an ambiguity here, so the sentence is misunderstood in many places. Okay? And let me carry on with the examples of ambiguity. You can find these examples in the book on page 169 in my edition. For instance, there are examples from Alice in Wonderland. How is bread made? I know that. You take some flour. Where do you pick the flour? You know, for bread you need flour. And also, the listener misunderstands it, and she asks, where do you pick the flower? So she thinks that flowers are the roses, tulips, you know, you pick them up. On the other hand, the speaker means the flour which you put into the dough to make bread. So these may be misunderstood because they are homonyms or homophones. Homonyms are the words which are spelled in the same way. Homophones are the words which are pronounced in the same way. I put it on in my PowerPoint presentation. Homonyms or homophones. I write an explanation here. Homonyms are the words Homonyms are the words spelled in the same way, and homophones are the words pronounced in the same way. Okay? So, please look at these PowerPoint presentations as you watch the video. During the time you watch my video, please look at the PowerPoint presentation. So, lexical ambiguity is caused only by one word in the sentence. Okay, I'm talking about two types of ambiguities now, lexical ambiguity and structural ambiguity, which I'm going to talk about later on. But lexical ambiguity is caused by only one word in the sentence. For instance, this sentence is ambiguous. For example, the girl found a book on Main Street. Okay, the girl found a book on Main Street. Where did she find the book? On the main street? Does it mean the girl found a book on the main street when she was walking on the main street? Or does the girl found a book about the main street? Okay, this is a kind of ambiguity too. Most ambiguities may be caused by metaphors. You see, if I were in the class now, I would ask you what a metaphor is, okay? And because I want to find out how well do you know the literary terms. So remember Meryem Hoca, she talks about literary terms and movements with you. So please remember metaphor. So I have to divide the video into two, 20 minutes and 20 minutes. So I am ending the session here. And see you in 5 minutes.